Welcome to the Open Source Technology Center. I'm your host, Dan Feinberg, and I'm joined once again by Eric Kazmarek and Soji Denloye. We're talking about big data technologies. In the previous sections, we talked about the concept in general, and we talked about Java. In this chapter, we're going to focus on Hadoop. So Soji, can you tell us what Hadoop is and what some of the challenges are that it poses to application developers?
Sure. Hadoop is a distributed framework which helps to ingest, process, and store big data. It consists of HDFS, which is the Hadoop Distributed File System, and MapReduce, which does the computation on the data. Now, for some of the challenges that application programmers face, one of the things is right out of the box, the performance is not very good, which is why many of the distributions like Cloudera, MapR, they all have configuration managers to help optimize the performance out of the box.
So Eric, we were talking earlier about the difference between throughput and latency, and one of these is a lot more important when it comes to Hadoop. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Hadoop is mostly used for batch processing. This means you throw a huge amount of data at the problem, and Hadoop can take minutes to hours to days sometimes to come up with the results, right? So some of the individual smaller latency issues are not that big of a concern, whereas NoSQL or some other workloads are more time sensitive, and they're quote-unquote real-time. This means you send a request and you want to have the response back right away. And in this case, latency matter.
So Soji, can you tell us a little bit about some of the specific optimization and enabling work that we've done with Hadoop?
So a lot of the work that we do in optimizing Hadoop is around reducing I/O. As you're familiar with Hadoop, you read from the disk, you write to disk, and then you do some computation and you write to disks again. So whenever we can minimize those calls, we do. And one of the ways we do that is through compression.
I see. So that solves a lot of problems for application developers, but I imagine, Eric, that when IT people are deploying Hadoop, that they have to deal with a whole other set of issues. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So Hadoop is this really fragile ecosystem. You cannot just attempt to solve one problem at a time. You need to look at the whole infrastructure. That means, putting 64 cores on your machine and only adding 32 gigs of RAM will not work just because there's not enough memory. Same thing goes for network. You can have a 10 gig network, but if you have slow cores or slow disks, again, you will not have good performance. So it's really a fine balance and tuning between all those different moving parts to get full performance out of it.
So thanks for joining us for this third chapter in our Big Data Technology series on Hadoop. Our fourth and final chapter will be about NoSQL data stores, and we hope you'll join us then. Thank you.